On the morning of January 3, 2026, the world awoke to shocking and unprecedented news that would reverberate across continents. In a bold and covert operation, U.S. Special Forces had abducted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro right from the heart of Caracas, stunning both allies and adversaries alike. The White House quickly addressed the world, calling it a surgical strike designed to restore democracy in Venezuela and preempt what they described as a looming threat to regional stability. Officials framed the action as a necessary act of global law enforcement, signaling a new willingness to intervene directly. Pentagon spokespeople emphasized that the mission was executed with precision and minimal casualties, but the world's reaction was sharply divided, with many questioning the true motives behind the intervention. European allies offered only cautious, carefully worded statements, wary of endorsing or condemning the action outright. Meanwhile, Russia and China swiftly condemned the move, denouncing it as a blatant violation of international law and Venezuelan sovereignty. Across Latin America, the response was fractured. Some governments remained silent, while others loudly decried what they saw as a return to American interventionism, sparking protests and heated debates in city streets. The Organization of American States found itself paralyzed, unable to reach consensus or issue a unified response, highlighting the deep and persistent rifts within the region. Operation Sovereign Freedom marked a dramatic escalation in U.S. policy, shifting from years of economic sanctions and diplomatic pressure to direct military force, signaling a new chapter in international relations. The speed and apparent ease of the operation sent shockwaves through governments and newsrooms worldwide, raising urgent questions about the future of Venezuela, the stability of the region, and the evolving rules of global engagement. Is this a singular event, or does it mark the dawn of a new, more aggressive era in U.S. foreign policy, one where military intervention becomes the norm rather than the exception? The answer to that question will not only determine the fate of Venezuela, but will also shape the course of international relations and global power dynamics for years, perhaps even decades to come. The operation's speed was nothing short of astonishing, catching even seasoned observers off guard. The near-total lack of resistance throughout the city has fueled widespread speculation that there was significant inside help. Key defenses were mysteriously offline, checkpoints left unmanned, details that seemed far too coordinated and precise to be dismissed as mere incompetence or chance. Multiple reports suggest that high-ranking Venezuelan officials, along with their families, were quietly airlifted to the United States in the hours before the operation, hinting strongly at a prearranged deal or secret negotiations. The military, once considered Maduro's unshakable backbone, may have fractured under the relentless pressure of years of economic hardship, internal purges, and growing disillusionment. For some within the regime, collaboration with outside forces offered a rare way out, a chance to protect their loved ones and secure a future in a post-Maduro Venezuela, free from fear and uncertainty. This narrative of internal complicity is now being used by the U.S. to legitimize its intervention, framing it as an action supported and even facilitated by Venezuelans themselves, rather than a purely foreign imposition. Cultivating assets and allies within a hostile regime is a hallmark of modern covert operations, allowing outside powers to reduce both the risks and the costs of direct confrontation. If these suspicions are confirmed, it would represent a sophisticated intelligence victory, toppling a regime not with open force, but with the quiet turning of keys and the silent cooperation of those within. The U.S. intervention in Venezuela is about more than democracy. It's a move in a global power struggle. For years, China and Russia have invested billions in Venezuela, securing oil and strategic influence. China's focus: energy security through loans for oil deals. Russia's projecting power in America's backyard. By removing Maduro, the U.S. aims to sever these ties, install a pro-Western government, and cut off rivals' access to vital resources. A new regime would likely cancel opaque deals with Beijing and Moscow, neutralizing their foothold in the region. The message is clear: aligning with America's adversaries carries risks, and the U.S. is reasserting primacy in its hemisphere. The Caracas Gambit is a high-stakes play to reset the global balance, using Venezuela as the fulcrum. Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserves, over 303 billion barrels, surpassing even Saudi Arabia. This immense wealth positions Venezuela as a key player in the global energy landscape, with potential to influence markets worldwide. Most of this wealth lies in the Orinoco Belt, a region rich with extra-heavy crude. Thanks to advancements in extraction technology, accessing these reserves has become more feasible, opening new opportunities for development. Years of mismanagement and international sanctions have severely crippled production capabilities. However, under a stable, investment-friendly government, output could potentially soar, revitalizing the industry. For the U.S., control over Venezuelan oil isn't merely about meeting domestic needs. It's about wielding influence over global supply and prices, a strategic move in the energy sector. Reviving Venezuelan oil production under a pro-American regime could stabilize volatile markets, counterbalance the influence of OPEC and Russia, and ensure a secure supply for U.S. allies. This strategic move would diversify the global energy map, reducing the leverage of other major producers and reshaping the dynamics of global energy trade. Venezuela's oil is not just a national asset, it's a lever of global power, and Washington is keen to have its hand firmly on it, influencing the future of energy. The recent operation signals that the U.S. is ready and willing to shape the future of global energy, asserting its influence in this critical sector. The U.S. hopes for a stable, democratic Venezuela. But Libya's collapse after Gaddafi's fall is a stark warning. In Libya, removing a dictator led to chaos, civil war, and a failed state, a cautionary tale for regime change. Venezuela, like Libya, is deeply divided and awash with weapons. A sudden power vacuum could unleash violent conflict among armed factions and criminal groups. The U.S. may have removed Maduro, but it risks igniting a conflict worse than the crisis it sought to end. The lesson toppling a regime is easy. Building a peaceful, functioning state is the real challenge. The ghost of Libya's failure looms over Caracas, reminding us that good intentions can lead to disaster. The Venezuela operation signals a return to assertive U.S. intervention in Latin America, a modern Monroe Doctrine. As U.S. focus drifted in recent decades, China and Russia expanded their influence in the region. Now, Washington is reasserting control, warning that partnerships with its rivals come at a cost. The U.S. is likely to pressure other nations, like Bolivia and Nicaragua, that deepen ties with Beijing or Moscow. This strategy carries risks. It could fuel anti-American sentiment and push even moderate governments toward U.S. adversaries. Memories of past U.S. interventions still haunt the region, complicating claims of championing democracy. The White House is betting that force will intimidate, not antagonize, but the outcome is far from certain. Whether this gamble stabilizes the region or sparks backlash will define U.S. policy for years to come. The U.S. move in Venezuela is about controlling the global oil spigot, not just securing domestic supply. With influence over Venezuela's reserves, the U.S. can shape global markets, reward allies, and punish adversaries. A revitalized Venezuelan oil sector offers Europe and Asia a stable alternative to Middle Eastern or Russian supplies. Flooding the market with Venezuelan crude could lower prices, hurting oil-dependent rivals like Russia and Iran. Oil becomes an economic weapon, achieving strategic goals without military conflict. History shows this tactic works. Low oil prices helped bring down the Soviet Union. The U.S. is playing a long game, betting that energy dominance will secure its global influence. For Russia and China, the U.S. operation is a major blow, costing them a key ally and billions in investments. Russia loses its main foothold in the Western Hemisphere, weakening its ability to challenge the U.S. China faces the loss of vital oil supplies and may have to write off massive loans. Both powers will likely respond through diplomatic condemnation and asymmetric moves elsewhere, not direct confrontation. This setback may push China to expand its military reach and Russia to double down in its own sphere of influence. The Caracas gambit forces both capitals to rethink their global strategies. The world could see intensified competition as Moscow and Beijing seek to regain lost ground. The U.S. move in Venezuela has set the stage for a more contentious era of great power rivalry. The U.S. removal of Maduro has redrawn Latin America's political map and shaken global energy markets. But the future is uncertain. Venezuela could descend into violent conflict or emerge as a stable democracy. The country's fractured society and armed factions make a peaceful transition far from guaranteed. Success depends on inclusive leadership and massive international support for rebuilding. Globally, a pro-US Venezuela would give Washington leverage over energy prices and rivals like Russia and Iran. The return of oil as a geopolitical weapon signals a new era of great power competition. The true test isn't removing a dictator, but what comes next for Venezuela's 30 million people. The outcome will reveal whether America's bold gamble brings stability or unleashes new chaos.